Hello, listeners, and welcome to Financial Autonomy for Women, the podcast. My name is Maureen Paley. I'm a financial life and career coach working specifically with women, couples, and non-binary individuals. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today's episode is titled, Why is Money So Damn Emotional? I just have to laugh at the start with this title because we all have felt some type of emotion around money, finances, having money conversations with those that are closest to us, maybe admitting some financial regret or shame about how we have used our finances, how we have employed them in the past. So I want to start off by saying, when I work with clients, emotions come up all the time. So I definitely want to normalize money, emotions and money, the connection there. It is a real connection, and you are allowed to experience emotions when you talk about, think about, and work on your money stuff. So I just want to normalize that there. So today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into why that might be. And to start out, I want to be really clear about something. This episode and anything that I share in it is absolutely no substitute for professional clinical support in the form of clinical therapy or a healthcare provider. This is purely informational and educational material. Take it for what you will. And my hope is that this helps to open up, this conversation helps to open up your perspective about money, emotions, and how we can manage all the emotions that come with money to live our best lives, right? My goal in exploring financial autonomy for women is to create a space and a community here where we support each other with all the things that come up around our finances, and emotions is certainly one of those. So now that we've covered that, let's dive in. As I mentioned, emotions come up in, every conversation that I have with clients around money. I have emotions around money. It's interesting, as an accredited financial counselor and financial coach, life coach, I don't get a free pass on money emotions. I feel money emotions all the time. Shame, regret, anxiety. I also am happy to share that I also feel joy, excitement, happiness, contentment. Money is a tool that we use in our lives, and it is intimately connected with us as humans. And what I want to talk about today is what it is we do as humans, right? We are, as humans, as mammals, as biological beings, the first priority for ourselves is to survive and thrive. If you think about it, every intention, action, behavior somehow is boiling down to your survival and your thriving. Now, if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You know that pyramid with basically at the bottom, once those needs are met, you can move up to the next level. And at the bottom is the basics for survival. You need food, you need shelter, you need safety. You need the basic biological supports so that you can function, right? You're going to need sleep. You're going to need nourishment. And then once we have those in place, we can bump up in the levels of the pyramid. And at the very top of the pyramid is called self-actualization, where we become the person we were meant to be. We fully step into who we are. So working with that as a framework, right? Maslow's hierarchy starts with survival, eventually gets to all the wonderful things that come with thriving. And, whether we know it or not, we are always choosing or not choosing things that lead to our survival and our thriving. So I wanted to paint that first, because for me, when I paint that picture and I check back in and I lean back into, oh, wait, I'm a mammal, right? I am the product of millions of years of evolution. And this means that there is so much more affecting me in the present day than most likely than I'm aware of at all. Meaning that all of evolution is at my back, pushing me forward towards this survival and this thriving. And as we grow up and as we become adults and we claim our lives, the best lives for ourselves, as we claim our autonomy, especially as women, we get to decide how that shakes out. Best case scenario, we get to decide how that shakes out. And the ways that we get to decide are really depending on the tools that we have at our disposal. Think about the tools that help you survive and thrive. One of the tools that helps you survive is fire. We're going to paint a picture about fire as a tool for survival and thriving. If I am stuck in the wilderness and I am cold and there is a threat to my life because of the temperature, because of those low temperatures, I'm a warm-blooded biological organism and I need warmth to survive in those conditions. I can use fire as a tool to help me survive. I can use fire as a tool to sanitize and sterilize medical instruments. I can use fire as a tool to cook my food to the point where it doesn't pose a threat in making me sick. I can use fire to boil the water to sterilize the baby bottle to feed a baby, right? So we know that fire helps us in some way, shape, or form, not just survive, but also thrive. If I can make it through that night in the wilderness or those several days in that cold wilderness with fire, I go back to my real life and I still need fire for my thriving. I need fire to cook my meals, to heat my home, so on and so forth. So let's just think about fire as a tool. And we also know, same with any tool, fire can also be destructive, right? So if we can use fire in a way that destroys, we can use fire in a way that benefits. And money can be used in a way that destroys, for sure. Money can be used in a way that benefits. So we're going to be focusing on the benefits. So just like any other tool, a tool helps us survive and it helps us thrive. So bringing this whole framework in, if we look at ourselves as biological organisms that have surviving and thriving needs, we can tap into, or we can develop a relationship with the tools at our disposal to make sure that we create the best lives for ourselves, the surviving and the thriving that we actually want to happen in the world. We want to happen for ourselves. And this really is that choosing, that agency, the choice is the essence of financial autonomy for women. So I wanted to paint that picture. Biological beings intent on surviving and thriving. We have things pushing us in that direction. So let's talk a little bit about emotions then. So emotions are also intimately connected to our surviving and thriving. So if you are someone who experienced either physical neglect as a child, which is a trauma, so maybe you were food insecure, maybe your family really struggled to make sure that you had the meals that you needed and to nourish you. If you found yourself being unsheltered, if at some point in your life, meaning maybe homelessness, maybe sleeping in a car, if you found yourself in a physically dangerous situation on a regular basis, maybe with an intimate partner, a family member, anyone in your community, or just your community in general was unsafe, those lack of survival supports will leave an imprint on your system. And when I say system, the way that I look at ourselves is I believe that we have a body, we have a mind, we have a spirit, we have a nervous system, we have memory, and this system is multifaceted and it has its own intelligence. So because we are so intelligent, right? And by intelligence, I mean, these are ways of experiencing the world. I experience the world through my mind, through my body, through my nervous system, through my memories. It's a way that we experience the world and understand the world. And therefore, it's a type of intelligence. So these intelligence, for me, when I remind myself about these intelligences, I remind myself to respect them. Because when a very strong emotion comes up anywhere in my life, but let's say it comes up around money. Let's say I'm feeling a ton of shame around money. I'm carrying debt and I'm really ashamed at how I let myself go. What I try to remember is, okay, me as an organism, as a person, as a multifaceted whole, I have many intelligences. And those intelligences are telling me something. So how can I tap into them and respect them to better understand my surviving and my thriving? This is one way we can hold emotions around money such that they are less likely to overwhelm us, and we feel more capable, confident, and become more successful at feeling them, accepting them, and moving on even as they're there. Feeling them, accepting them, and moving forward even as they're there. So let's also take a look at the intelligence of our nervous system to dig into that a little bit deeper. The nervous system is, things get imprinted on our nervous systems. We have memories that are intertwined with our nervous system. You might be able to bring a memory to mind. You certainly don't have to, but something that's scary that happened to you as in the past, a car accident. You were in a life-threatening situation. You were at the hand of some type of physical threat of assault. You could bring that memory up, and the memory is connected to the imprinted, there's an imprint in your nervous system for that life experience. And your heart might start racing. Your brow might start sweating. Your breathing, the pace of your breathing might change. Your mind might start racing, right? This is the essence of the physical symptoms that come with trauma, and everybody has trauma. I wanted to bring up make a connection, right? That our bodies feel things and remember things. And this is the essence of the quip big amongst therapists, psychologists. The issues are in the tissues. So our tissues, our physical anatomical tissues, our nervous system will hold on to our issues, our trauma. So it's no wonder that money, the tool that is intimately connected to our survival and thriving, is going to bring up emotions. You might be experiencing some instability around your money, where it has you feeling anxious, and then your mind starts racing, your heart starts pounding, maybe your cortisol spikes, so on and so forth. If you are trying to make ends meet every month to just tie things together and not let the bottom fall out, that will be a stressful situation. It's not just mentally stressful. It's not just emotionally stressful. It will be physically stressful as well. So remembering that we have many intelligences as individuals, as physical organisms, remembering that at some fundamental level, our lives are about surviving and thriving. Remembering that we have, these intelligences are connected to the survival and the thriving. It helps me create a bigger perspective about money and my emotions. And when emotions come up, and we can also do like the double whammy of, oh, I have an emotion that I don't like. I shouldn't even be having this emotion, and I should just be stronger than this, and I should be able to get over this. And then, right, this is in Buddhism, they call this the second arrow. You have an unpleasant experience, and then that's the first arrow. And then the second arrow is the self-blame and the self-judgment and the self-deprecation. So when I remember that I'm a multifaceted person, and it's no accident that emotions happen to me, it helps me just respect and be more and more okay with the emotions that come up around money. So let's say big emotions are coming up for you: shame, regret, anxiety, anger, maybe fury and rage. When we have tough conversations about money with people, with other people, with our loved ones, with our friends, with ourselves, they can very easily and very understandably come into emotion. And this is okay. So, part of this is just normalizing this for ourselves. Like, hey, I'm a human being with emotions, and money is a big part of my life because it helps my surviving and my thriving, and I'm going to have emotions around it. So I invite you to keep that in mind as you work through, manage, seek support for strong emotions that you might be having around money. So we know that having emotions around money issues, around this tool for surviving and thriving, is normal. We've normalized it. Now, how do we work with it when we have these strong emotions around money? Strong emotions around money are very similar to other strong emotions, right? Remember, it's about meeting safety needs, nourishment needs, those surviving needs, and the thriving needs. So we can work through and manage, and part of the goal is reaching for forgiveness and acceptance in the fact that those emotions are there and moving forward anyway. At whatever pace we move forward, giving ourselves the permission, okay, this is here, this is happening, this happened, I forgive this for happening, which is the essence of I accept that this happened in my life. I accept the fact that I racked up $20,000 worth of debt. I accept the fact that I was at the hands of someone abusing me with my finances. I accept the fact that I did not invest when I really wish I should have years ago. So we can accept it, we can feel the emotion, we can forgive the fact that it happened, we can accept it, and we can still take steps forward. How do we do that with any emotion? Well, the basics, right? The basics of taking care of this bodily organism, meeting those survival needs. So you need to give yourself nourishment. And by nourishment, I mean healthy foods, right? Balance in the foods that you eat. You might find a way that can help you manage your mental health and the way that you manage emotions. Other ways: exercise, meditation, being socially connected to a spiritual community or your neighborhood, building those relationships in your life, getting sufficient sleep and sufficient rest. These are ways that we can build up a reservoir of strength and resilience physically as biological beings, such that when an emotion comes, stress comes, emotions come, as they will with money, right? We already know that. We can accept, forgive, and move through. So if you are someone who knows, hey, these are the 5 things that really help me just manage day to day, my emotions, my life, the things that come up. I go to yoga and I take an art class, and I make sure I put my kids down to bed at night and we read books and we give ourselves that time. I have a sibling that I love and that I talk to on a weekly basis, and I have a meditation group that I check in with as well. If you already are using those things will help serve you with the emotions around money. If you're someone that doesn't quite have that lined up, that is something to think about, right? What are the things that we need to do to support our emotional lives? Because our money emotions are part of our emotional lives. We need to make sure we bring in the supports that help us not just stay on track, but like weather the storm. Stay resilient because life will throw us curveballs. Life will throw us emotions, and we can use those supports as a protective factor in walking through what life will show for us. So the way to work on money emotions, one of the ways is to find those supports and start employing those supports, leaning into those supports that you would otherwise use to handle any emotion that comes up with life. And this could also be therapy, coaching, counseling. Again, when we build those supports, it creates a protective factor where we are better able to weather a storm, an emotional storm, a financial storm. And when we have those protective factors, we're not just more likely to be resilient, we are likely to feel more relaxed, right? The intelligence of this body and this nervous system and this heart and soul and mind will start to relax because I'm giving it good things. I'm giving it the support that it needs, such that when I'm relaxed, guess what happens when we're relaxed? We love better, we learn better, we work better, we tend to be more creative. Things start coming together for us, and we are perhaps, I can't say this categorically, but we are perhaps more willing to take risks, because the risks that we might need to up-level our wealth, the risks and making the behavioral changes, which is essentially a risk, making the behavioral changes to pay down the $20,000 worth of debt, to set that goal and to do it. So we create this ease and this relaxation such that we're more willing to take the steps that we know we need to and want to take, and maybe even steps that we didn't even think were possible, because we have those supportive factors that have allowed us to move through the emotions, to accept, forgive, and keep going. We have those supportive factors that have created the protection, the buffer for when life does throw us those curveballs. So let's not underestimate the power of relaxation, of the deep exhale, allowing ourselves that, building the toolkit that helps us get to that feeling of, I feel much more relaxed, I feel a bit more confident, and I feel a bit more creative and willing and almost excited about what's possible for me, things that I didn't even think were possible. So, money and emotions, there is definitely a connection there. Money is a tool that we use for surviving and for thriving. And anything connected to our surviving and thriving will also be an emotional phenomenon. We know that we can build supports to create that protection, that resilience, and that sense of endurance. Maybe not endurance, but again, that ease where we can make it through the challenges, through giving ourselves the good things that we would give ourselves to manage any other type of emotion, not necessarily related to money. We might need the social relationships, those really good relationships that just lift us up and buoy us. We're going to need the safety, the psychological safety, the physical safety. We're going to need all the survival aspects, the food, the shelter, the clothing. We're going to need perhaps a spiritual outlet if that helps us feel supported. Building this will help support you weathering and braving the wilderness of your money emotions, the same way you might brave the wilderness of your other emotions. So I hope, it is really, really my hope that breaking this open, looking under the hood of the connections between money and emotions, and why is money so damn emotional, will help us normalize the emotions and remember that we have tools available to us, and we do have that agency, that choice, and the autonomy to build up those protective factors and support so that we can forgive whatever emotion we need to forgive, whatever regret we need to forgive around our finances, accept and move forward, even with it there. Sometimes I think about forgiveness as, that needs to be like wiped away from my consciousness for me to move on, for it to actually be forgiven. And thankfully, in my own self-healing and my own work with clients and my own personal internal work, I've learned that there, you don't need the clean slate. You don't need it to be wiped away completely. But I have found support in building those tools to say, okay, this thing happened and I'm still moving forward. So with that, my hope is that we looked at money and emotions in a new way today. And I hope that this new way of looking at it is helpful and useful for you. And as always with finances, be kind to yourself, seek support when you need it, and let me know how it goes. I'll see you next time.